Hello and welcome to the WANDL IP MPLS View Report Manager Learning Byte. I'm Gordon Mosley with the Education Services Department at Juniper Networks. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. After successfully completing this Learning Byte, you will be able to navigate and customize the IP MPLS View Report Manager interface. IP MPLS View contains a utility named Report Manager that is able to query all of the stored data information in your modeled network. Information about the nodes and the links that connect those nodes and the tunnels and the demands that have been built across this modeled network. I can execute queries across this data store, and that's the role of Report Manager. A big feature of IP MPLS View is the ability to perform network failure simulations, nodes and links and interfaces, and sites, for example, failing. What happens to my network? The results of those simulations, those failure simulations, are visible through the Report Manager interface. The reports inside of Report Manager are presented in a tabular format, but they can be exported into different formats for use in other reporting applications. Export them in CSV files or export them to Excel, or save them even as HTML files if you need to view the data in different formats. And there are plenty of predefined reports already created inside of Report Manager, but you're allowed to also customize and create your own reports. Let's take a look at the IP MPLS View's Report Manager interface. This is the IP MPLS View administrative interface, and in the menu at the top I see Report. And the first thing I'd like to take a look at with you are just some report options. And you can leave these at the default values if you choose, but there is a little bit of customization available to you. You know, our paths or links, or how are they identified? Are they identified by the node ID values or by host names? And do you want distances identified in miles or kilometers, and replacement cost of parts? Do you want that, displayed in dollars? So there's a little bit of customization. Do you want, bandwidth to be displayed as megabit, kilobit, gigabit? So just a few things here that you can customize about how information is displayed to you. So let me cancel this. And I'm going to go back up to the report menu and open up Report Manager. And it opens up in a separate window. I want to go ahead and maximize this so we can get a good look at it. And the reports are broken down into kind of different sections, starting with the network reports. If you want information about demands, tunnel demands, link demands, information about your links like link utilization, you'll just need to learn to navigate the menu to kind of find the reports that are of interest to you. And so, for example, under link reports, if I want to see link cost, when we built the network model, part of the information that was imported into the IP MPLS View model of the network is the cost on the links. And so if I wanted to execute a query across that data store and pull back information about my links and their costs, so I click on the report to execute it, to run it, and here's the actual display. Here is the report. And so it'll show me the links, the link names, the nodes that are involved. Link 1 connects Atlanta to Houston. And I can get information. These are 10 gig links. I have distance information. How long of a span in miles is that? And the hardware type of the links. Information about the administrative distance and the delay for all of my links. So all of this information is in the IP MPLS View, modeled network data store, and I'm using Report Manager to query that data store and pull back information that's interesting to me. And so again, it would just simply be, your role would be to, let's find a report that has some information I might like to see, and then click on the report. Now, I will say this, some of these reports may not actually pull back information. It kind of depends on the features that you've enabled on your network and the type of information that's stored in there. But simply find a report that you like and click on it. You'll be able to see the results. And so there's several different, we mentioned a little bit earlier in the Learning Byte about simulations, running failed links and failed nodes. What happens to my tunnels, what happens to my traffic demands on my network when things are failed. So when you execute these failure simulations, this is where you'll go see what happened to my tunnels and demands and links and so forth. A lot of different report types, so spend some time here kind of finding reports that mean something to you. Now when you do select a report, you're presented with this tabular format with column headings. You may not understand just at first glance what all these columns represent, and so every report has an explanation option at the top left corner of it, and if you click it, it opens up a window that tries to explain to you, here's what this report is about, and here's what the different column headings mean. And so if you're ever looking at a report and you're not really sure all of the columns and exactly what this report's trying to display for you, make sure you click on the explanation button. You can sort by clicking on column headings to kind of flip columns up, ascending, descending, move them around. You can do multiple sorts if you want to sort on more than one column. You're allowed to do that. You can select the columns. By default, every report shows every possible column of data available, and that may be too much for you. Let me remove some columns, add some columns in. So that's also very liquid to you. You can drag, click a column and move it around if you wanted to rearrange the order of the columns in the report output. And another thing I'd like to show you is the ability to, there's an icon here that I'm allowed to click on where we already saw a way to kind of select the columns that you'd like to see and so forth. But here's how you'd save the report to the client. You can convert the report to a CSV file to an HTML file. You can export it directly to Excel or print the report out. So these are some of the options that you'll have that can help you report on the modeled network data store that IP/MPLS views allowed us to create. So this is just an example of some of the things you can do with the Report Manager interface. Now I'd like to show you as well, we mentioned you have the ability to create customized reports. And so at the bottom I can click on Customize Reports and right click and say, I'd like to add a new report. I love the built-in ones. They're great, but I'd kind of like to make my own with my own columns and my own data and call it my own name. And so by adding a report, a little wizard kind of pops up here to allow me to create it. I'm going to say next, and each report has to be given a name that means something to you and an actual file on the device to generate the report into. So I'm just going to call it demo, and I'm going to say next, and now I begin to kind of select the data that I would like to include in my report. Or is this report kind of about tunnels or about nodes, or I'm just going to pick node and say next, and then I'll be able to, here's all the possible columns that I can create information for in a report. And I'm just going to pick hardware. Let me go ahead and click on the arrow here. I'd like to see a hardware column. I'd like to see the host name column. Maybe whether or not it's a route reflector. So let me keep it simple here. And so these are the columns I'd like in my node report. I'm going to say finish. And here's my demo report, and again, to view the results of my report, and I apologize I didn't build the best report in the world, but I hope you get the idea. So a good deal of customization here available for you, and you can make as many reports as you'd like. In this Learning Byte, we learned how to navigate and customize the IP/MPLS View Report Manager interface. For more information about Juniper Network's training and certification options, please visit our website. Thank you.
Visit the Juniper Education Services website to learn more about courses. View our full range of classroom, online, and e-learning courses. Learning paths, industry segment and technology-specific training paths. Juniper Network's certification program, the ultimate demonstration of your competence. And the training community, from forums to social media. Join the discussion.